Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you had a good week. As usual, this has been a busy week. Today is September 23rd, 2022, and this is your Friday planning update. Big note, due to the Jewish holiday this coming Monday and Tuesday, the Monday market update will come out Wednesday. I'll follow that up by the normal Friday video next week. Last week I started a multi-part series on somewhat of a checklist for Q4 as it quickly approaches. I'll continue that over the next few weeks. Please feel free to check in with me about how each of these items may or may not apply to you. Before we even get going, this is a key time of year to reach out and touch base with your tax advisor and review if there are any tax planning actions that you should take as the year comes to a close. As you know by now, unless this is your first time watching, I do not give personal tax advice, but will work with your tax advisor to implement any of the necessary plans. Even with the markets the way they are this year, and in many cases because of the way the markets are this year, there may be some important plans to make. As I discussed a few weeks ago, there's still a lot of chatter, even when you remove the political stuff, about student loan debt forgiveness. I'm still watching the situation, and I urge you to do the same. As more information comes out about how to apply, there are some things to do to get ready. When the actual process is live, I'll try to do a short update, but for now, try these 3 things to get ready. First, use your adjusted gross income to determine if you'll be eligible to get that forgiveness. To do this, check with your tax preparer or pull out your 1040 and look at line 11. Second, review your loan details. This is obvious, but just get the information together. You'll need all of that to apply. Third is to consider contacting or try to contact your loan servicer. Rest assured that their hold times will only increase as the deadlines approach, so it may be worth it to at least see if they can help you get ready. Moving on to a few other items for today's installment, let's talk about some market-related items. First, review your overall strategy and risk tolerance. We've discussed many times on these Friday videos, but also on the Monday market updates. Markets like these are the gut check markets. Everyone is fine with risk until the market goes down. I've stated here many times that if you've only been investing in the market for the past 10 years, prior to the pandemic and really in 2022, you may have thought that the markets, may have been taught by the markets that in most cases stocks cannot go down. We've all been given the history lesson, no matter how many times we discussed it prior to now, that how often bear markets occur over time, it never really gets real until it happens. So now that you know, if it is new to you, or more likely if you're in a different phase of life, let's talk about that and review your overall risk. I'm asked daily about raising cash or going to the sidelines. A video like this is not the place for me to give that blanket advice. This is what I always say I dislike about the radio people. The famous radio host and radio financial advisor, Bob Brinker. I say that because he was always famous in my house, as my grandmother used to listen to him, and even though her son and her grandson were her advisors, Bob was always the go-to. The reason is that I dislike them is this. They often give blanket advice. Buy now, sell now, go to cash, buy bonds. While any of these pieces of advice may be right, first of all, they may not be right for you. And most importantly, in my opinion, they will not call you later and tell you if they change their mind or if the next step is going on. If you follow the first part of their advice but never get the next, you get the picture. Okay, so suffice it to say, this is the gut check time in the market, and I am not at all making light of this. It is time to have a conversation again about risk tolerance. As this is done, the next step may be to rebalance your portfolio to match your risk tolerance, that you determine that is correct for you. Regardless of if you are changing your risk tolerance or not, with the recent moves in the market, your allocations may need some attention. As of the last week or so, and last Friday's close, the S&P 500 was down over 17% on the year. It was joined by a lot of company. The Dow was down 14%, the NASDAQ was down 26%, even the 10-year Treasury was down 14.5%, and the U.S. aggregate bond ETF, a good proxy for bonds overall, was down over 12%. So yes, there were a few places to hide in the market, but if your tolerance has changed, or just the moves in the market I just outlined has changed your percentages, you may need to make some year-end adjustments. The final one for today is about taxable income. Again, this is one to talk to your accountant about, but keep in mind that as the year comes to a close, there are a lot of actions you can take to push income into next year or pull forward into this year different income. This depends on how you're employed, but it can also include things that we've spoken about recently, tax losses, even tax gain harvesting, charitable giving, and retirement contributions. Overall, the list, as you can tell, for Q4 is just getting started. As I've done a lot already this week, this is the time that we can just run through the list. There's time that we can just run through the list, check with your tax advisor when necessary, and determine if they apply to you. If they do, let's try to incorporate them into your 2022 plan. If not, let's see if 2023 will require some additional plans. Next week again, no Monday market update until Wednesday, but I'll be back with another installment in the planning side on next Friday as well, with some other of the Q4 planning to-dos. Until then, have a great weekend.